The camera fades in slowly, a soft ambient soundtrack rising beneath a polished voice. Welcome back to another extraordinary story where reality television collides with raw emotion. Today's story takes us behind the scenes of one of Britain's most beloved morning shows, This Morning, where what began as a friendly conversation turned into a shocking moment of live television history. As always, you're watching Elite Circle Media, where truth meets entertainment in style. We explore stories that leave the world talking, and we do it with clarity, confidence, and class. Now, let's step into the studio lights, the quiet buzz of cameras preparing to roll, and the tense energy of live broadcasting, because what happened between Meghan Markle and Alison Hammond that morning was far from ordinary. It started with calm professionalism. Meghan Markle, poised and confident, entered the ITV studios dressed in a sleek beige outfit. Her appearance had been heavily promoted, Meghan Markle live on This Morning, a headline that promised insight into her post-royal life, her ventures, and her reflections on fame. Producers hoped it would be a feel-good segment, a charming conversation between two high-profile women who understood fame, empathy, and public pressure. But what they didn't expect was how quickly things would unravel. As the red light blinked on, Alison greeted Meghan with her usual warmth. "Good morning, Meghan. It's such a pleasure having you here. You look incredible." Meghan smiled graciously, adjusting her microphone. "Thank you, Alison. It's lovely to be back in London, even if just for a day." The conversation began lightly. They spoke about Meghan's children, her advocacy work, and her life away from the royal spotlight. The energy in the studio was bright, the crew relaxed. But then Alison brought up something that immediately shifted the mood. "Now Meghan," she said gently but firmly, "there's been a lot said about how you and Harry handle things with the royal family. Some say you distanced yourself too much. Do you ever regret stepping away?" There was a moment of silence. The kind that swallows a room. Meghan's expression changed slightly, a polite smile hardening at the edges. "Well, Alison, regret isn't the word. I think choosing peace and mental well-being over public approval is something anyone should understand." The response was sharp but diplomatic. The studio clapped softly, but Alison didn't back away. She leaned in. "I get that, but some critics say you knew what you were signing up for when you married into royalty. You had all the privileges and the platform, and then suddenly, you left. Isn't that a little contradictory?" Meghan blinked slowly, as if processing whether she had just heard that on live television. The atmosphere grew tense. The host's tone was professional, but firm, the kind of energy that sparks viral moments. "I think," Meghan said slowly, "you'd have to live it to understand it. It's easy for people to sit at home and comment when they're not the ones being torn apart by tabloids or betrayed by those close to them." The audience was silent. The crew members behind the cameras froze. Alison nodded, clearly trying to maintain composure. "That's fair, but a lot of people also feel you use the media when it benefits you and criticize it when it doesn't. Do you see the irony there?" That was the moment. The one that changed the tone of everything. Meghan leaned back, visibly frustrated. "I'm not sure this interview is going where we discussed," she said. Behind the scenes, producers exchanged glances, gesturing discreetly for Alison to smooth things over. But it was too late, the tension had already found its way to the surface. Alison attempted to lighten the mood. "Oh, don't get me wrong, Meghan, I love you. We're just being honest here, people want answers, not headlines." But Meghan wasn't smiling anymore. Her voice lowered, cold but controlled. "Honesty is one thing, Alison. Public shaming disguised as honesty is another. Maybe this isn't the platform for me to share my truth after all." And that's when it happened. The sound of her microphone brushing against her outfit as she stood up was the loudest thing in the studio. The producers' voices echoed through the earpieces, "Stay calm, keep rolling." Alison, caught between empathy and professionalism, said softly, "Meghan, please, don't walk out. Let's just talk. But Meghan turned slightly, giving one final remark. I came here for a conversation, not an interrogation. You've got your soundbite, I'm done. She stepped off the stage, cameras still rolling, leaving Alison speechless and the live audience in stunned silence. The control room erupted. The director's voice thundered, "Cut to break. Cut to break now." But it was too late. Millions had just witnessed one of the most unexpected walkouts in British television. The following moments were chaos. Social media lit up instantly. Did Meghan Markle just walk off this morning? Was it scripted? Is this a PR disaster or a setup? Within minutes, hashtags like #MeghanWalksOut and #ThisMorningDrama began trending worldwide. Later that day, clips surfaced online. Some viewers sided with Alison, praising her for asking tough questions. Others defended Meghan, accusing the show of ambushing her. The internet split in two, as it always does when it comes to Meghan Markle. Behind closed doors, the producers held crisis meetings. ITV executives were reportedly furious, debating whether the segment should ever have aired in that form. One insider claimed, it was meant to be a redemption interview. It turned into a media storm. The next morning, Alison Hammond addressed the incident on air. Her voice was sincere. I just want to say, she began, I have the utmost respect for Meghan. Sometimes, live television takes unexpected turns. I never meant to upset her. I hope she knows that. But the damage was done. Meghan's team released a short statement later that afternoon. Meghan was invited to speak openly about her advocacy and life. She felt the tone of the conversation became unnecessarily confrontational and chose to leave. There will be no further comment. Behind that statement, however, sources close to her revealed she felt deeply humiliated. One friend was quoted saying, she expected kindness. What she got was judgment disguised as journalism. The entertainment world couldn't stop talking. For days, analysts dissected every word, every facial expression, every pause between Meghan and Alison. Some called it bravery, others called it overreaction. But what no one could deny was the rawness of that moment. It exposed something about modern media, how interviews aren't just conversations anymore, they're battles for perception, loyalty, and control. By the weekend, American outlets had picked up the story. U.S. networks debated whether British media were too harsh on Meghan. Meanwhile, in the UK, tabloids ran with sensational headlines, Meghan's meltdown on morning TV. Markle storms out, Hammond left shocked. And yet, in the midst of all the noise, there was silence from Meghan herself. No tweets, no interviews, no clarifications. Just a quiet disappearance from public view. But that silence spoke louder than any soundbite. Weeks later, she resurfaced briefly at a charity event in California. When a reporter shouted a question about the This Morning incident, she simply smiled and said, sometimes, walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. And with that, she entered her car, a gleaming black luxury SUV, and drove off, leaving cameras behind once again. That quote would soon become symbolic. Fans printed it on posters, shared it on social media, even turned it into motivational art. Walking away is power. In a strange twist, the moment that was meant to embarrass her ended up strengthening her brand. The footage of her walking off became one of the most watched clips of the year. It was replayed endlessly on talk shows, analyzed by body language experts, and debated in online forums. As for Alison Hammond, she too faced intense scrutiny. But over time, the tension between her and Meghan seemed to fade. A year later, in an interview, Alison was asked if she'd ever speak to Meghan again. She smiled and said, I'd love to. Sometimes, two passionate women can clash, but that doesn't mean there's hate. It was a mature and graceful closure to a chaotic chapter in daytime TV. And that's where this story leaves us, with a moment of real emotion, real consequence, and a reminder that even in the glossy world of television,